Matt Schaff and Jared Smola of DraftSharks.com here to run you through the top waiver options ahead of week 3. If you're a DS Insider, you already got an email Sunday night with immediate waiver options as well as injury updates following all of Sunday's action. You can also check out our full waiver pickups article on DraftSharks.com. We lay out options for various league types. We give bid recommendations for every guy on the list, as well as some streaming options for the positions where you might be looking for that. So check that out every Tuesday on DraftSharks.com or Wednesday if that's the day you need it. Jared, let's run through a top 5 with another little question thrown in the middle. But I think any waiver talk for week 3 has to start with the Cleveland situation and thus has to start with Jerome Ford. 16 carries to Pierre Strong's 2 last night. Of course, Nick Chubb left in the first half with that knee injury. He's going to miss the rest of the year. It looks like Jerome Ford, I don't think anybody would expect him to be Nick Chubb, but it looks like he's going to be the clear backfield leader going forward. Obviously the top waiver pickup for every league, right?
Yeah, and you saw on Monday night, I think what makes Ford so exciting is the big playability. I mean, he has, as much big playability as Nick Chubb, not comparing the two at all, but as far as the ability to break off long runs, I mean, Jerome Ford ran a 4.46 at the combine at 210 pounds too. So he's not, he's lead back size. And I think he's going to get a crack at that lead job. They have Pierre Strong there, who I was not a big fan of coming in and has done nothing, through his short NFL career so far. I think Cleveland's going to bring someone else in. They almost have to, right? I mean, they can't go forward with Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong and nothing else in the backfield. I almost hope they make a move today and maybe bring in Kareem Hunt to maybe lower the asking price on Jerome Ford. Because I just think Jerome Ford is better at this point than Kareem Hunt. I think you look at Kareem Hunt's advanced metrics last season, and they were just bad. And he's 28 or 29 now, I think. I just think he doesn't have a whole lot left. So I do think Ford is the guy you want here. I think he's a guy that you kind of spend what you need to spend, I think, as far as fab to get him. And, how much that is, you kind of have to know your league, get a feel for it. If you're talking FFPC, you're going to have to spend 80 to 90% of your fab, I think, to get him. Yeah, which I think it is reasonable. If you're a team that needs a running back, and there are a lot of teams that need running backs after the injuries we've, dealt with already at the top of the running back board, I think, do what you need to do to get Jerome Ford. I think he's that guy. He's the guy you want to kind of go all in on.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the best pickups the rest of this year. The best pickups are going to be running backs that are suddenly thrust into a starting job. And we're going to get to another potential guy in that range next. But yeah, that's the guy that you're spending on at this point. And how much you should put down depends on what you need. If you need a running back, Jerome Ford's probably going to be one of the best options available going forward. So I think you go basically as high as you need to get him. If you're pretty well set at running back, but you're like, I got a spot to play with, and I want to make sure that nobody steals him in my league, I think it's fine to bid on him there too. You just don't want to put as much down on Jerome Ford if he's not going to be as much help to you. That's when maybe you put 35% of your waiver budget down, something like that. But I don't think there's anything that's really too high depending on your situation for Jerome Ford this week.
I think worst case scenario for Jerome Ford is the Browns making a move for Cam Akers, because that's kind of the other running back domino that is going to fall, I think, at some point here. There's Cam Akers, Leonard Fournette, and Kareem Hunt, who are still, two of them are looking for a team. Akers, it seems like he's done in LA, so he's going to be playing elsewhere. So, what Ford did last night should earn him the right to, at least have the first crack at this starting job.
And I don't know if Cam Akers is any good yet. So I think that even if he came to Cleveland, he's not going to be the RB1 ahead of Jerome Ford. So he's certainly somebody that you want to pick up regardless of what scenario you can play out going forward in Cleveland. Yep. Guy number 2 on our list that I just alluded to is Tyjae Spears. Now, if you don't have an immediate running back need, if you're set for week 3 and, let's hope the weeks beyond that, if you don't suddenly lose guys this week, then Tyjae Spears is an excellent guy to stash because he's Jerome Ford before the injury to Nick Chubb. He's somebody that you stash right now. He's gotten more use than any other number 2 Tennessee running back since Derrick Henry was the number 2 Tennessee running back. That said, not enough use where we're going to be using Tyjae Spears when Derrick Henry's in the game. Just 11 carries, 6 targets through 2 games. But if Derrick Henry goes down, Spears is going to be the pickup. He's going to be the Jerome Ford, and probably better because he's likely a higher upside player, looks explosive as a runner, looks like a high upside receiver. So stash Tyjae Spears if you can, if you've got a spot to play with now, and maybe you get him at a cheaper level now while other people are in more need and chasing the more immediate options.
Yeah, Spears has looked awesome. He looked awesome in the preseason, and he's looked awesome through 2 games. As you said, it's only been 11 carries, but Spears leads all running backs with 10 plus carries in Pro Football Focus rushing grade through 2 weeks. And just watching these Titans games, it's clear that like Spears is a part of their game plans. It's not like, Derrick Henry has just carried 8 straight times. Let's get him out, put Spears in for 2 plays. Like they're designing stuff to get Spears the ball. The Titans' first play of overtime this past week, Spears, he took a little pitch off left tackle and picked up like 14 yards. So again, that tells me he's a big part of their plan. Like you said, he's not getting enough work to be someone you want to be starting. Like he's, I think, a decent emergency option. And when bye weeks start to hit, like Spears, you might find him in like the mid 30s in our running back rankings with the type of work he's getting. But if something happens to Derrick Henry, like Spears is going to be, I think, flirting with like RB1 value. So he is definitely a guy that should be stashed pretty much in all fantasy leagues, even like leagues of 10 plus teams, like, even 10 team leagues, Spears should be rostered at this point.
He's as attractive a handcuff as there is that hasn't yet seen the starter go down. And one other thing that I like about the situation is I think there's another potential path to Spears getting there, and that would be if Derrick Henry were to be traded during the season. We heard rumors of it in the offseason. The Titans might stumble at some point. Even if they don't, he's got a contract that they want to unload, or they would probably like to unload before it gets to the end. So, if Derrick Henry were to get traded, obviously same effect as if Derrick Henry got hurt. Next up, Matt Breida versus Craig Reynolds. Likely to be 2 other guys that are on the minds of people playing waivers this week and, perhaps debated. So, Jared, I set this up as Matt Breida versus Craig Reynolds. Who is your favorite between them? And, that can be whatever level of favorite you want to put on it.
Yeah, it's a low level favorite. I'd lean towards Reynolds, I guess. Just he's in the much better running game. I think both these guys are going to be in committees. I think Breida is the favorite on Thursday night to lead the Giants backfields in touches, but Gary Brightwell is going to be involved. I expect Eric Gray, their rookie, to be active and maybe get on the field a little bit. And it's a matchup with San Francisco, which you kind of just don't want to mess with. The Giants do get Seattle in week 4, when again we expect Saquon Barkley to not play. So like there's a chance Breida, if he gets 50% of the backfield work on Thursday night here and then gets the better matchup against Seattle in week 4, there's a chance Breida is someone you can use is like an RB3 or flex in that game. So I think we're not saying Breida shouldn't be picked up. It's just he's well below, obviously Ford, well below Tyjae Spears, and even below these next few wide receivers we're going to get to. And then Reynolds, same deal. We know Jahmyr Gibbs is there. We know the Lions don't want to overwork Jahmyr Gibbs, especially on the ground. So there are going to be carries available that Montgomery is leaving behind. But Zonovan Knight was promoted to the active roster today for the Lions, which 1 tells us they probably don't expect Montgomery to play this week. And 2, I think Zonovan Knight is going to be involved too. Reynolds is not going to pick up all of Montgomery's work. He's another guy who I think is more of a desperation play this week.
The only way that I'm even interested in either of these guys is if I'm in a situation where I'm like, oh crap, who am I starting at running back this week? Like I had one team where I had to pick up Deion Jackson last week and that ended up doing nothing for me. That's the kind of situation where I'll take either Matt Breida or Craig Reynolds. And I agree, leaning toward Reynolds because I think he's David Montgomery light, and the Lions have scored the 10th most running back PPR points so far. The Giants just 18th on that list, and that's with a 27.2 point outing from Barkley in week 2. So it's just a better situation in Detroit. Even if we don't get all the way to Montgomery's use, I think we've got potential for Craig Reynolds to score a touchdown on the ground. Matt Breida is just not good. 2 straight seasons in San Francisco, he reached 5 yards per carry. In the 3 years since then, he has played each of those with a different team. He totaled 68 touches, 33 touches, 74 touches over entire seasons with 3 different teams. He spent the past 2 with Brian Daboll, first in Buffalo, then with the Giants, barely touched the ball in each case. He's a small speed back who has never reached 2 receptions per game for a season. So I expect there to be a committee in a Giants backfield that hasn't looked awesome even with Saquon Barkley so far and an iffy looking offense. You mentioned the matchup makes it even worse for this Thursday night. So Matt Breida, maybe, but only if I'm spending a few bucks.
Yeah, Breida is RB40 in our initial week 3 PPR running back rankings. So again, he's a desperation play.
What I would like to do is let somebody else get Matt Breida and spend $1 on Eric Gray and see what happens, because we've seen that Matt Breida is not that good. We've seen that Gary Brightwell has not commanded that much work. We don't know anything about Eric Gray yet. So I'd rather buy the unknown there and see what happens.
Yep, I'm with you. I think Gray in deeper leagues and FFPC, those types of leagues, that Gray is worth a buck or two of your fab this week.
Now, if you disagree with us on Matt Breida, if you think he's just been waiting for the opportunity and he's going to surprise us all on Thursday night, let us know in the comments on YouTube. We love hearing from you, even if you disagree with what we're saying. Let's move over to wide receiver now, Jared. And Tank Dell was actually on the field more than Nico Collins a little bit in week 2. He led the team by 1 target in just his second pro game. And Houston's been more pass happy through 2 weeks than any of us would have guessed. What do you think of Tank Dell?
Yeah, this Texans passing game is fun. CJ Stroud's playing well. They're letting him chuck it, as you said. I think he has 44 and 47 pass attempts through his first 2 games. And some of that's been game script related, but yeah, Houston is 3rd in neutral pace and 5th in neutral pass rate through 2 weeks. So it's a fast-paced, pass-heavy offense. So we know Nico Collins has been awesome through 2 games. Robert Woods has been useful. But Tank Dell, I mean, he looked awesome in the preseason. He opened the year as Houston's 4th wide receiver, but he got what he needed when Noah Brown hit IR last week. That moved Dell into, like you said, basically a full-time role. And he's not going to give that up going forward now. He looked really good in week 2. Again, like you said, 7 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown on 10 targets. So I just think he's probably a wide receiver 4 right now. Deeper leagues, you can start him, and then there's, a chance for him to climb from there.
Yeah. Is he going to be somebody you feel comfy starting every week? Probably not. Is he a higher upside guy than Robert Woods? Yes. Tutu Atwell, we look at the Rams, and obviously Puka Nacua has been the big story because he has to be, but that's masking the fact that Tutu Atwell is 16th, tied for 16th among wide receivers and targets, all alone at 16th in total PPR points among wide receivers. And he's getting those targets even with Puka 10 targets ahead of every other wide receiver in the league so far. Obviously, the question here is, what is the role for Tutu when Cooper Kupp comes back? What is the role for Puka when Cooper Kupp comes back? None of us knows, of course. And there's also the chance that Kupp's hamstring is a problem all year. So for now, it seems like just grab the Rams receivers, enjoy it while it lasts, and see what happens beyond that.
I think we can safely say that Van Jefferson's going to be the 4th wide receiver when Cooper Kupp comes back, because he's just not very good. Now Cooper Kupp's return is still a big problem for Tutu and even Puka, right? Because Kupp's going to come back and command a big share of the target. So we'll see where that all goes. But Tutu, as you said, 16th in PPR points through 2 weeks. He gets Cincinnati this Monday night, which is an okay matchup. He gets Indianapolis in week 4, which is a plus matchup. So I think if nothing else, like Tutu, someone you can start in week 4. He's like a borderline wide receiver 3 this week. I think I've just been reminded through 2 weeks that Sean McVay and Matt Stafford are both still really good at their jobs. Like McVay is still one of the best play callers in the NFL. Stafford is playing awesome. He is 4th in PFF passing grade through 4 weeks. So that's what's kind of supporting both Nacua and Atwell as fantasy assets so far.
Yeah, and I like here that we have 2 paths as well, where maybe the Rams just stay good on offense and support 2 wide receivers a week, even after Cooper Kupp is back, or maybe the team struggles more overall than it has to this point, and then we get more trailing game scripts and more passing volume and still supports the wide receiver. So in any event, I think at the price it takes to get Tutu Atwell right now, he's worth the pickup. The last guy on our list heading into week 3, Jayden Reed, rookie wide receiver from Green Bay. Jared, I saw Jacob Gibbs of CBS and some other places. He is at JA Gibbs_23 on X. He put out a list of percentage of team receiving yards that rookies have accounted for while on the field so far. Marvin Mims up top because he has barely been on the field, and when he has, he's caught long passes. Rashee Rice is next. He's also been light on playing time, so we'll see about that. Then Puka, obviously, and then right behind Puka is Jayden Reed, who has been an important factor in the passing game for a Green Bay team that still doesn't have Christian Watson back and is still, I don't know, uncertain, I guess, for how good the passing offense is, but there's been production and Jayden Reed's been central to it.
Yeah. The per route efficiency and the per route targets, those are definitely signals, and they're good news for Reed, both this season and going forward. If you're, talking dynasty, I think it's been an excellent start for his dynasty prospects. I do want to be careful though for like Reed's, I guess, like short-term fantasy value, just because as you said, the Packers passing game has been a little fluky so far. Jordan Love has 6 touchdowns on 52 pass attempts. That's an 11.5% touchdown rate, which is just, like 3 times what you'd expect a touchdown rate to be exactly. And then even Jayden Reed, 2 touchdowns on 6 catches. He's kind of been a benefactor of that high touchdown rate. Green Bay is 29th in pass attempts and 23rd in passing yards through 2 weeks. They are playing slow and they're leaning run, which is what we projected them to do. And I think that's going to continue, especially if and when Aaron Jones gets healthy again. And as you said, Christian Watson's coming back soon to add more target competition. So, Reed, you're kind of betting on the talent, I think, earning him a bigger role going forward. He's still basically only playing in 3 wide receiver sets and playing like 75% of his snaps in the slot. He needs to get into 2 wide receiver sets, I think, especially when Watson comes back, to be someone we can start in fantasy leagues this year. But again, at some point you want to bet on talent. And I think, Reed is definitely worth stashing in leagues of 12 plus teams.
Agreed. You can grab and use Tutu Atwell. You want to stash Jayden Reed right now, and then we'll see what happens in each case. If you want ultimate waiver wire help, you need to become a DS Insider and take advantage of the free agent finder. It syncs directly with your league to comb through who's actually available in your specific league, then compares those guys to the players on your current roster. You can see who we recommend grabbing by our projections for the week ahead, for the week going on now, for the full season. We've got other measures that you can rank by, compare to see who you want to add to your team. Check out the free agent finder on draftsharks.com. And of course, find our full rankings for week 3 and the rest of the season there as well. If you want to know every time we post new content on YouTube or your favorite pod channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and a review. We appreciate your help in keeping all this running. Thank you for joining us. Now let's go win this week.